Monday morning came entirely too quickly. Kirishima yawned as he forced himself out of bed and zombie walked to the bathroom. His hair was usually his first task of the day since it needed time to set, so he robotically began the process of spiking it up. As it was drying, he brushed his teeth. His night of sleep had been a bit of a restless one. All of his dreams seemed random and hard to piece together. It felt like he hadn't really slept at all. He adjusted his necktie and tried to focus on the fleeting image of blonde hair that he was sure he remembered. It wasn't uncommon for him to dream about Bakugo, but this time he couldn't seem to hold on to any solid images of what had happened. He grabbed his backpack and headed out the door, somewhat startled to see someone standing across the hall. About damn time. Bakugo pushed off the wall and started towards the elevators. Kirishima yawned heavily as he lingered by the door. Hurry the hell up before we're late. Right, coming. He shut his door and half-jogged to catch up to him. Normally, he would have been psyched that Bakugo had waited for him, but he figured he did it to avoid him pouting later. It had been brought up a time or two before. He rubbed at his eyes as they stood in the elevator. Coffee wasn't really his thing, but he was certainly tempted to stop by a vending machine before class. He checked his phone. Damn, no time. Once they arrived, Bakugo went to his desk and Kirishima slumped over his. Kaminari was sitting sideways to talk to Sero and poked him. Look alive, big test today. Kirishima swatted at him without looking up and groaned. Our resident ray of sunshine has faded, Sero lamented dramatically. Look, I'm already deteriorating. Kaminari shoved his arm out. I'm so pale, so cold. He feigned death as he slid from his seat. Kirishima sighed and sat up fully. Kaminari offered a smile that he did his best to return. Man, I really could have used some caffeine, he groaned. Yeah, I was up pretty late cramming. Sero stretched his long arms. I feel like everyone studied but me, Kaminari whined. You didn't study at all? Kirishima pulled out his notes for a final glance. Kaminari shrugged. I figure I'll know the right answer when I see it on the test. It's essay style, Sero deadpanned. It's what? Kaminari visibly paled as the door opened and Mr. Aizawa silenced the class. The first part of the day seemed to drag on a lot longer than normal. By the time it was finally lunch, Kirishima was practically crawling to the vending machine. As he reached it and read the sign taped to the glass, he let his head fall back in anguish. Of course. He spun around and headed to the other machine much farther away. As he trudged down the hallways, he tried to think more about what Ashido had told him. Maybe staying positive and hoping for the best was the best he could do, but just about every part of reality seemed to be saying the opposite. Bakugo was just his friend, and only because he had more or less pestered him into it. He said he wasn't interested in dating, and Kirishima didn't even know who he would be into dating if he was. He didn't seem to mind him hanging around or off of him all the time, but he also didn't initiate any of it. So at best, it kinda just seemed like he was tolerating him. He sighed at that, but it did sound right. He shoved some change into the machine once he reached it and finally retrieved his drink. He stood there and chugged half the can before heading back. Once he sat down with his friends, he merely rested his forehead against his arms and used the excuse of still being tired. It probably wasn't the best strategy, since the longer he was left with his thoughts, the worse they got. He resigned himself to it, though, and continued down the spiral of self-loathing. Suddenly, all the times he had managed to convince Bakugo to hang out with him, he remembered him more annoyed. The scowls that he had convinced himself were just for show seemed genuine, and all the sighs echoed painfully in his ears. All of his pathetic attempts at flirting caused his chest to constrict, and he felt infinitely embarrassed for himself. He was coming on way too strong, and if he wasn't careful, he might risk them staying friends. That was the only thought he just couldn't take, so as he headed into his next class, he promised himself he would do whatever necessary to keep that from happening. He also found that he was really looking forward to the end of the day. As he walked into home ec, he was surprised to see Mr. Aizawa looking over notes at the desk. Hey, Mr. Aizawa, are you teaching us today? Midnight had to leave early, so yeah. The tired-looking man looked less than thrilled about that. Today, Kirishima understood his pain. He took his seat as he addressed the class. All right, listen up. Everyone went silent, their attention singularly focused. Get in groups, bake a cake. He looked them over as they sat quietly. Now. All at once, everyone scrambled to form teams and begin baking, all except Bakugo. Everyone has to be a part of a group, Bakugo. Aizawa addressed him. Like I want to cook with these idiots. I can do it fine on my own, he spat back. Come on, Blasty, you know you want to work with us. Kaminari tied his apron as he called over to him. Kirishima soon caught his eye as he glared in their direction. We'll literally fail without you. He added a hopeful smile since it was very much true. Bakugo dramatically sighed and stood up from his desk to trudge over. You bastards better not get in my way. He snatched an apron and tied it around his waist. Kirishima found his eyes drawn to the spot and mentally slapped himself. Can it be any kind of cake, Mr. Aizawa? Sero asked over the buzz of the other groups. Bake a cake, he replied and resumed readying himself for a nap. Cool, what kind should we do? Sero turned back to them. Coffee cake? Kirishima tried to focus on the easier of his problems. Gross, man. Ice cream cake. Kaminari tried and earned some looks. Yeah, Dinky, let's bake an ice cream cake. Sero deadpanned. Kaminari stuck out his tongue. Fucking morons. Bakugo muttered as he pulled some supplies from the fridge. So, Bakugo, Kirishima leaned against the counter. What kind of cake are we baking? Just shut up and mix this. He handed him a bowl and cracked a few eggs in. Kirishima saluted with his free hand. Yes, sir. You two, preheat the oven. On it. Kaminari moved to beat Sero to the task. They soon settled into a pace, Bakugo doing most of the technical stuff and the class going by a lot faster than he had anticipated. They successfully got their cake in the oven, and Bakugo let them make the icing since even a moron could do it. He said there was no way any of them were decorating, though. They had all sat at their desks to wait on their cake, and Kirishima was happily surprised that Bakugo sat with them rather than go back to his own desk. They were chatting about what to do that afternoon when they heard a shriek. Oh no, we didn't set the timer. Uraraka rushed over to the oven to check on their cake. Kirishima looked around to see Midoriya's group rushing over as well. Do you think it's okay? Uraraka held it out for Ida and Midoriya to see. Unacceptable. I can't allow us to submit subpar work. Ida adamantly shook his head. We don't have much time, though, Midoriya added. We'll just have to hurry. Here's some extra batter. We just need a few more eggs. They scrambled to fix their cake as the timer for their own dinged. They all rose from their desks to follow Bakugo to the oven. Wow, that looks great, Kaminari noted as he set it on the counter. What'd you expect? Bakugo pulled off the oven mitts. Kaminari and Sero grabbed the icing. Oh, it has to cool first, right? Kirishima looked at Bakugo. Yeah, just stick it in the fridge. Kirishima went to do so before getting a better idea. He took the cake to the other side of the room. Hey, Todoroki, would you mind cooling this off for me? He smiled brightly as he presented the cake. Todoroki placed his hand on the pan and slowly frosted it over. Thanks, man. Sure. Oh, Deku, you need to put some cocoa in that. Uraraka was still trying to salvage their cake. Oh, I think we used it all. We've got some in our cabinet, Kirishima offered. Thanks, Kirishima, Midoriya said and headed towards their station. Kirishima returned and set the cake down to be iced. Kaminari and Sero were permitted to do the crumb coat, so he turned to face Bakugo. Thanks for the help. I don't know how I'd pass this class without you. You wouldn't. Probably not. He laughed a bit and noticed Midoriya reaching in the cabinet right behind them. The tub of cocoa seemed to be just out of his reach, and as Kirishima looked up at it, he realized the lid was loose. He was about to offer to help all too late when the tub fell from the shelf. Hey, watch out! It was too late. Midoriya fumbled the tub, and it rolled off his fingertips directly onto Bakugo's head. Kirishima watched in horror as the brown cloud of powder covered the boy in front of him. He coughed and fanned the excess dust away, all the while hoping Midoriya had the sense to run for his life. Kaminari and Sero burst out laughing, and Midoriya looked as if he was ready to jump from the nearest window. Bakugo stood surprisingly still, eyes squeezed shut and fists slowly forming. Kirishima could hear the ticking in his head. Sorry, Kachan. Here, let me... Midoriya went to grab a towel when Bakugo ripped around and tore it from his hands. You goddamn idiot, don't even think about touching me. Can you not even do the simplest thing? Midoriya backed away quickly, his arms up in surrender as he repeated his apology. Aizawa called over to them. Bakugo, go to the bathroom and get cleaned up. Class is almost over. Bakugo groaned and stomped out of the room, all the while grumbling to himself. Kirishima watched him go before raising his hand. "Permission to prevent the bathroom from being blown up, sir." Aizawa seemed to think for a moment. "Go." He followed the dusty footprints into the bathroom to find an angry as ever Bakugo violently ruffling his hair, still grumbling. "Shitty fucking Deku, bunch of damn idiots." Kirishima chuckled as he grabbed a paper towel and wet it in the sink. "You okay, man?" "I'll kill him." It was an accident." "Deku was the damn accident." He actually had to hold back a laugh. "Here." Bakugo turned to face him, frowning heavily. Kirishima set the towel down and did his best to get all the powder from his hair. He definitely did not notice how cute he looked covered in chocolate and pouting either. Of course, it didn't exactly help that he now smelled like a candy bar. He wiped at his face with the towel until he deemed it clean as well and tossed it in the sink. He glanced at Bakugo before dusting off his shoulders. His ridiculously defined shoulders. The white of his shirt was beyond really saving, so he focused on his jacket before trying. No matter how hard he tried, the cocoa smudged and left obvious discoloration on the white fabric. He knitted his brows as he tried patting it off instead. Bad idea. Each time his hand landed on his chest or abs, he practically had to force himself to remove it. He smoothed the last bit of fabric above his belt before giving up. "Sorry, man, I think that's as good as it's gonna get." He looked up to see Bakugo looking very flustered. His face was so red he momentarily panicked, thinking he might have some kind of allergy. "Are you okay?" He said it with genuine concern. Bakugo turned away and took to brushing off his pants. Piss off, shitty hair." He guessed that meant he was all right at least. Kirishima lingered by, rinsing out the sink. About then, the bell rang. "Oh man, I hope they finished the cake." Bakugo mumbled something and stormed out. Kirishima stayed for a moment, trying to convince himself that Bakugo was actually allergic to chocolate. The rest of the day went by uneventfully. Kirishima decided not to wait for Bakugo after class to walk home since he was likely still upset. He made his way down the walkway, holding on to his backpack and watching his feet. He would have to try and go to sleep early tonight. It wouldn't do to sulk forever. He didn't want his friends to worry about him, and it wasn't anything he could tell them about anyway, so he decided to plaster on his best smile. That would do for now, until it could be genuine. He was sure it would be. Eventually they would be pro-heroes and living their dreams. Bakugo would likely meet someone, probably another amazing hero, and he could be the best man at their wedding. He decided to think of the burning in his throat as a result of his future happiness for his friend. He also decided he was quickly growing to hate that word. When Kirishima entered the common area, he was approached by a frantic-looking Midoriya. "Hey, Kirishima, is Gachan okay? I know he's probably still mad at me, but I swear I didn't do it on purpose. Of course, knowing him, he probably thinks I did, or even if he doesn't, he'd still be angry and is likely plotting my murder at this very—" Kirishima placed a hand on his shoulder. He seemed okay. "I'm sure I'll be over it by tomorrow." Midoriya didn't look convinced. "Just, will you tell him I'm sorry?" "Don't worry. I'm sure I can smooth things over." The boy before him looked at least slightly relieved. Kirishima hummed on his way up the elevator. He knocked on Bakugo's door and waited. He knocked again and waited a bit longer. "What?" came the angry voice from the other side. "Just checking on you, man. Can I come in?" "Fuck. Yeah, just wait a minute." He heard the door unlock and he went to open it, but the door was pushed back. "I said wait, hair for brains." "Alright, geez." He let go of the door and crossed his arms over his chest. A few seconds passed and then some more before he tried again. "Am I good to come in now?" He didn't hear a response, so he twisted the knob. "Hello?" He opened the door and looked to his right to see the bathroom door open and the shower on. He dropped his backpack to the floor with the sudden realization that the universe indeed hated him. He was at least thankful the shower curtain was black. "What'd you want?" "Well, definitely not this." "Midoriya wants you to know he's sorry." "Fuck him." Kirishima barely heard himself or the response. He was instead focused on the wet footprints that led from the door to the shower. Bakugo must have gotten out to go to the door. His eyes rested on the towel slung over the sink as he leaned in the bathroom doorway. Did he put it on when he got out, or— "Oi!" "Huh?" He was jarred from his thoughts, blushing heavily. "I said, will you hand me the damn soap? It's on the sink." Kirishima looked back to the sink and spotted the bottle. He grabbed it and inspected the label while trying to compose himself. He was here for a reason. So you're not gonna kill him tomorrow, right? Of course I fucking am. As soon as we get on the training field, he'll wish he was never born. Well, I guess you're gonna have to make do with just water then. He tossed the bottle around in his hand. Are you fucking serious? You heard me. He couldn't help but smirk as Bakugo groaned in irritation. Fucking fine. Kirishima stepped over and reached the bottle into the shower, the steam hitting his arm. He made sure to look the other way just in case. As Bakugo took the bottle, he felt his wet hand slide over his. His breath momentarily left him as he pulled back to examine the wetness. He had done really well today. All of his thoughts had been kept under control, and the most he had allowed himself was noticing he looked cute. That was pretty tame. He had earned the right to indulge here. The scent of the soap invaded his senses. It didn't smell as good as his natural scent, but the thought of him lathering himself up more than made up for it. Kirishima moved to lean against the sink. Are you just gonna fucking hang out in here? Maybe. I'm pretty tired. So go lie down. He hummed in acknowledgement and had actually planned on doing so. The sound of the shower stream was interrupted, and he pictured him under it, the water streaming down his chest. He imagined his hands running along with it, down his abs and over his hips. He gripped the counter tighter. If he got out now, he could press him against it. The steam still clinging to his body, he could rake through his wet hair. His nails would leave marks down his back that he could admire in the mirror. He could watch himself as he bit down on the flesh of his neck. He imagined the sound he would make. Kirishima. What? He pushed off the sink and pushed his thoughts away. If you're that damn out of it, there's a bed right there. Go lay down for fuck's sake. That sounded nice, but as he looked down he noted he had created yet another problem for himself. I'm good, man. I'll see you later, he called as he left. Lock the damn door. All right. He quickly did so and ducked into his room. It didn't even take him a full minute to finish. With the smell of his soap still lingering in his mind, he gave into the image of him fucking him against the bathroom wall. As he reveled in the feeling of Bakugo clinging to him and screaming his name, he came hard into the sheets. Fuck. He let his head fall back against his pillow, a sheen of sweat now gracing his brow. This was bad.